The scroll in front of you, named Cloudy Peaks at Dawn in Spring, created by Li Huayi in 1999, is a modern depiction of Northern Song Dynasty landscape painting in the modern perspective. Li Huayi, though lives in America for many decades, he still looks back onto ancient Chinese dynasties and their form of painting in order to create his own pieces. In this particular piece, Cloudy Peaks at Dawn in Spring, is so very much echoes the Northern Song Dynasty landscape traditions that you can look back at the old art theories that existed in that era, and you can see them very much, with an exception of one, depicted here. So the Northern Song Dynasty landscape painting had the rules of the three depths, known as tall, deep, and flat. In Cloudy Peaks at Dawn and Spring, you can see two of these depicted here, with the sheer size of the Taihang mountain range depict the tip of the peak not even shown here, and even the deep where you look into the essential abyss of the atmospheric perspective that Li Huayi depicted on this scroll. However, there are clear differences between how the Northern Song typically depicted their pieces versus how Li Huayi chooses to work on this particular paper. So you may notice that we do not see the peak of the mountain at all. If you compare to pieces of Fan Quan or Guaxi, you will notice that usually that you can see the entire mountain, even if it towers over you, depicted on the entirety of the scroll, whether or not the scroll is very short or very long. However, Li Huayi chose not to do it. All that is left is part of the mountain right here, our eye moving upwards, and that's it. There's no tip, and that is, I believe, is part of the modern perspective on the Northern Song Dynasty traditions, as that was simply not done. And here it is relying on the watcher, the looker, to depict the rest of the mountain in their own minds. And you can kind of see a bit of this changes with his relationship between how he takes pieces from Northern Song Dynasty traditions and involves a few modern or his own personal twists to the work. So, one thing that we can see here that is very Northern Song Dynasty is the inking techniques. For instance, to depict the volume of an object, he actually diluted the paint in this area to the point that it sort of shifts into so that our eyes essentially thinks that it's the full volume of the object. However, you will notice that there's the ink here actually is essentially gone at this point of time right here. And this is where the mist comes in, which adds in, hello, the cloudy peaks. Where's the clouds? The mist is right here, but it's not depicted with ink. It is what's without ink. And you can especially see it up here and around here and here. And even you can see it into the abyss as well. And the purpose of this is to create the sort of spiritual, mystical sort of atmosphere that you would experience in the Taihang mountain range. The mist obscure the eye, allowing the mountains to appear almost like they're blocked out by these clouds. And the way to achieve it with ink is by having the ink sort of dissipate out of the way. So the paper, well, it's usually typically silk scrolls that was used in Northern Song, but Li Huayi used paper. However, it's the same effect as long as the paper is somewhat untouched by the ink or sort of like out of very fuzzy compared to the very distinct lines that are right here with the ink. Then you kind of get this effect of that appears that there are clouds, there are mists that are blocking out our views. And it's also airy and so light that it's really the grandeur and the spirit of the mountain that is depicted, which is part of the tenet of Northern Song dynasty, because it was a more like, look how great, how grandeur, how wonderful this natural landscape is. And Li Huayi also reflects this, that he wishes himself, he often took pilgrimages to see the Tuihang mountain range and to depict him in his pieces. So, because he so much wants to see it. And this is kind of what makes, at least me personally, think that there is a reason that he cuts off this mountain. Because what happens is when we look at the piece, the thing that at least caught my eye first, was this very delicate, very precise tree. And my eye followed down into the depths of the ink and circled back around and up. So I'm kind of creating this circular motion. And then my eye lands up at the top of the page, and that is when it all dissipates. The rest of the mountain must be built from my mind. And the reason that Li Huayi might have done this was to build in the desire to see more of it. It is incomplete. The only way to complete it is to imagine in your head or go see it for yourself. And one of his quotes is that he wanted to capture the form and the spirit of the mountain, so he could breathe the mountain air and touch the trees. And in my opinion, he very much succeeded in creating this desire in his his viewers as well, by the sheer magnificence that is this Tuihang mountain that we are forbidden from seeing unless we go and look for it ourselves.